Fluid mechanics at industrial scales operate under strict thresholds, exceed the pressure tolerance of a closed system, and the kinetic energy must escape, shredding steel and synthetic rubber to find equilibrium. Now scale that same immense fluid pressure down to the size of a grain of rice. The jumping spider, Phidippus audax, operates an internal fluid network capable of spiking its pressure to over 50 kilopascals in less than 100 milliseconds. When you encounter a dead spider, you see the result of this high-pressure architecture failing. Its legs are tightly curled inward. Observers routinely attribute this posture to rigor mortis. They are entirely wrong. You are looking at a catastrophic loss of internal head pressure. Spiders possess flexor muscles to pull their limbs close to their bodies, but they lack the biological hardware to push them back out. When the internal fluid pump shuts down, the outward force reaches zero and the system collapses in on itself. This diagram highlights the mechanical divergence. Mammals utilize antagonistic pairs. A bicep pulls, a tricep pushes. The spider relies on a one-way fluid drive. Muscles pull the leg in, but high-pressure fluid forces it out. To reverse engineer how this animal hunts, we have to isolate the physics of localized microhydraulics. We must evaluate it as a precision-machined actuator. Circumventing the physical limitations of microfluidics remains the supreme hurdle for modern engineering. This creature solves power density problems that defeat our best robotics. The center of this mechanism is the cephalothorax, the combined head and thorax segment. Biologically, it houses the brain and eyes. Mechanically, it serves as a highly centralized gear pump. When preparing to leap, the spider triggers specialized dorsoventral muscles. These muscles contract violently, actively compressing the total internal volume of the cephalothorax. This schematic demonstrates Pascal's law in a biological medium. The central chamber compresses, and because the internal fluid, hemolymph, is nearly incompressible, the applied force is instantly transmitted outward down all 8 leg channels. We represent this transmission using the formula shown here. Delta P equals F over A. The change in pressure equates directly to the compressive force divided by the area of the chamber. The total kinetic energy generated for the jump aligns with the thermodynamic work-energy theorem, where work is the integral of pressure concerning the displaced volume. Moving a few milligrams of mass to escape velocity within a fraction of a second demands a specific energy output. That required power density is exponentially higher than the maximum recorded yield of any vertebrate muscle tissue. The anatomy of the spider is mathematically optimized to function as a high-pressure power plant. Generating a 50 kilopascal pressure spike requires a rigid container. Without high-tensile material housing the fluid, the animal would simply detonate upon muscle contraction. The required structural integrity comes from a long-chain polymer called N-acetylglucosamine. We know it as chitin. Within the leg walls, microscopic chitin fibers are organized into a stacked helicoidal pattern. This orientation creates a composite monocoque chassis, capable of withstanding massive internal loads while maintaining external shape. However, any pressurized chassis is compromised by its need to move. The flexible leg joints acting as seals represent immediate failure points. Look at this schematic of standard material physics. We measure flexibility using Young's modulus. If the joint membrane here has a low modulus, meaning it stretches easily, the incoming pressure wave will cause the joint to balloon radially, trapping the fluid and halting leg extension entirely. The biological solution is a Bellows structure. Instead of a smooth, elastic tube, the joint membrane is deeply pleated. When pressurized fluid hits the joint, the pleats unfold linearly, extending the limb rapidly without sacrificing radial strength. The bellows safely intercepts the violent pressure spike, completely redirecting outward strain into forward kinetic energy. The materiality of the animal evolved specifically to neutralize targeted mechanical stress at a microscopic scale. A reinforced chassis handles the structural load, but the physical movement of the fluid itself presents an entirely different boundary. We must analyze the hemolymph. This formula on screen is the Darcy-Weisbach equation. It calculates friction loss inside a pipe. As the diameter, the d variable, shrinks down to the 100 micrometer width of a spider's leg, the friction value becomes completely insurmountable. At the extreme velocities required for a 100 millisecond jump, standard Newtonian fluid dynamics dictate that friction would consume all the kinetic energy. The fluid should lock up. The spider bypasses this physical law through complex rheology. Hemolymph is a non-Newtonian, shear-thinning fluid. Its viscosity is not constant. As the cephalothorax pump fires and the shear rate of the fluid spikes, the molecular friction inside the hemolymph drops dramatically. In the exact microsecond the internal pressure wave hits, the thick, viscous syrup transitions into a high-flow lubricant. This extreme physical state change is highly localized within the leg channels and lasts only fractions of a second before reverting back to a stable, viscous state. The leap is successfully executed because the biological fuel actively rewrites its own material properties on demand. Activating this system requires managing 8 independent biological actuators simultaneously. If the fluid pressure in the left metatarsus reaches 50 kilopascals, while the right registers only 45, the differential force will induce a high-speed spinout. The payload will lose all forward trajectory. The jump is an exercise in intense computational precision. The central nervous system calculates and balances differential fluid pressures across all 8 limbs in real time. But systems fail. Fluid seals microfracture. Calculations miss target vectors. Operating at this pressure threshold mandates a robust physical redundancy. That redundancy is the silk dragline. Upon executing a leap, the spider anchors a line to its launch point. It functions as a mechanical emergency brake. If the internal hydraulics rupture midair, the dragline catches the mass. It is a biological equivalent to a rock climber's lead rope, arresting a fatal system error. The jumping spider is a high-risk kinetic engine, operating at the absolute margin of physical failure, sustained entirely by overlapping layers of physical and computational redundancy. Human engineering easily achieves macro-scale fluid power. We construct massive hydraulic chassis, like the Atlas robot seen here, capable of immense kinetic force. But as we attempt to shrink these systems down to the millimeter scale, we fail. The limiting factor is the scale cube law. As physical footprints shrink, the ratio of surface area to internal volume aggressively increases. At the millirobot scale, friction dominates all motion. The mechanical valves we machine add far too much weight, and our synthetic seals inevitably leak under high-pressure spikes. Advanced robotics laboratories are actively trying to bypass this block, experimenting with bio-inspired soft robotics constructed from pneumatic silicone networks. Yet these synthetic prototypes harbor a critical flaw. To generate the necessary power density, they remain tethered to massive external air compressors. Contrast this with the arachnid model. It carries the primary compressor, the variable viscosity fluid fuel, the monocoque structural chassis, and the processor required to run it all, in a package weighing a few milligrams. This 8-legged mechanism has rigorously refined its internal fluid dynamics for a very long period. The scientific community is only now developing the analytical tools required to properly decode the physical blueprint of this living machine. Mastering the geometry and material science of the microscopic hydraulic joint will eventually allow us to sever the tether, rewriting the rules of autonomous motion for the next generation of robotics.